Hello, my friends. This is Arcturus, and today I wanted to talk about mantras, the power of mantras. I guess many of us are familiar with mantras because they are used in yoga, they are used in meditation. And basically, mantras are described as sacred utterances or sacred words, powerful words that activate or have certain effect for spiritual purposes because we find about them normally in religious or spiritual literature. And so basically, most of you are familiar with mantras when we do, let's say, a meditation, and we are familiar with the mantra Om, which I believe is the most popular one. But today I want to talk about some experiments that I've done in the astral regarding the use of mantras. As you know, there are many mantras, such as the Pharaon mantra, that can help you to astral project. But there are other mantras, such as Om, that can help to have other effects when you are in the astral plane, and that's what I want to talk about. Because yesterday, I did the experiment. I did a particular experiment regarding this, and what happened was that I was having a dream, and I became lucid. I realized that I was dreaming, and so the images that I was seeing in the dream world were very strong images created by my subconscious mind. And so what I did is that I tried to go back to my bedroom. And so in order to do that, what I did is that I opened my eyes like very wide, and I imagined my bedroom, and that took me back to my bedroom. And maybe I opened my physical eyes a little bit, and I was in that situation where I was sort of stuck, like in sleep paralysis mode, between the astral plane and the physical plane. And, and so I quickly tried to get away from my physical body in my astral body. And so I started to do the Pharaon mantra, which many of you that have read my books or have taken my course are familiar with. And so I started doing the mantra when I was in my astral body. So I went like fa, ra, on, fa, ra, on, while I was trying to get up from bed in my astral body. And to be honest, to be frank, I didn't feel the effects of the mantra, of the Pharaon mantra. I didn't feel that it was giving me any vibrations or actually helping me in any way to astral project. But in the end, I was able to get up with my astral body and get away from my physical body. And so the next thing that I did is that I tried to get to the balcony. And so in order to do that, I tried to remove the curtains, and it just didn't work in the astral, right? And the reason why it didn't work in the astral is because those curtains probably don't exist in the astral, but still we see them because what we see is the memory we have from them. So that projects into the astral world. And the same thing happens with many things in our house, that these versions don't really exist, or they don't work the same in the astral world, but we have the memory that they do, and so we try to interact with them, and then we get a surprise because they don't act the same way. So knowing that, I was trying to remove the curtains, and it wasn't working. So I thought, like, you know what, I'm just gonna go through the window and through the curtains. So I just focused on going through the window and the curtains, and I made it to the balcony. But then the next thing that happened was that my vision was clouded by the curtains. And so I saw like this dark shadow of the curtains, and I tried to remove it, and it wasn't working. And then I started like seeing like the layer was becoming clearer when I started doing this many times, as if I was removing the curtain many times. And that's something that your mind is creating, right? Like I said, there are no curtains in the astral. It's just like your mind is having that memory, and so you have to like. What I did is that I chilled, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna look for clarity, and then the feeling of the curtains and the vision of the curtains just went away, and I could see from my balcony, and in the physical world there is a pool down the building, and I saw that pool, but it just looks different in the astral, right? Because it's just part memory and part the astral version, right? And then there was also a ramp conveniently descending from my balcony, and that doesn't really exist in the physical world, but I guess my mind created that. So I went down that ramp, and then I was in the apartment complex gardens, and everything looked different. Of course, it's the astral, so it's expected that everything will look differently, but I could feel that it had a lot of influence from my subconscious mind. So I didn't like that, and I wanted clarity. I wanted to see the real astral world. So what I did is that I sat in meditation position, and I started to invoke, to call for the presence of Master Yogananda. Perhaps some of you are familiar with Master Yogananda. He's famous for being perhaps like the first or the main person, or one of the main persons who brought yoga to America, and he lived in California. And I'm very connected to him, and I've had some experiences with him in the astral, and a lot of people that I know have these experiences with Master Yogananda. So I invoked him, and Master Yogananda didn't show up. And I was like, I don't know why he's not showing up. Perhaps he's too busy. But you also get a lot of intuition in the astral. So then immediately I thought, well, he's a master. He's omnipresent. So he could be in many places at the same time. And so then I was like, well, maybe there's a reason why he's not showing up. And maybe that reason is for me to learn something. And so that's when I started learning more about mantras. And so what I did is that I started to do the Om mantra, but I just sat down and I was like, Om, Om, Om. And so I was doing the Om mantra because a friend of mine, Adi, the Green Tara, she recommended to do that mantra in the astral in order to go to places. And she told me that that's the main mantra she does. It is very powerful, and it helps her to not only travel across the astral plane, but also the mental plane and the causal plane. And it apparently takes her automatically on a ride, or that's the understanding that I have, that the Om mantra takes her on a ride to very high places in the above dimensions. So I started doing that Om mantra, like I said, Om, 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 and nothing was happening. And in fact, I was keeping my concentration, but I was getting I was losing concentration because I could feel that my nose was a little bit blocked because yesterday I had to take a shower with cold water, and also my throat was a little bit like dry. And I could feel that from my physical body, but it was bothering me in the astral. So that kind of was like bringing me back to my physical body, and the Om mantra wasn't doing anything. And so just before I was gonna go back to my physical body, I just instinctively decided to do an experiment. It's an experiment that I guess I did out of instinct and out of the intuition that you get in the astral world. And so what I did is that I did the Om mantra differently, because like I said, I was doing it like Om, 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 and nothing was happening, right? So what I did was I started go like this. Om, and when I started going like that, with that power, with that resonance, with that conviction, then something started to happen. in the astral, something great. Like the layers just started to like open up, and I started moving to places, and I started to feel this incredible energy. Like it feels like powerful, and it feels good. It's like an aura that surrounds you with this vibration, and that came from just from saying the Om mantra in my astral body. Let me remind you that this was in my astral body, not in my physical body. It could happen that your physical body could also like do a little bit like that, like maybe your lips, and you're gonna have like some voice in your physical body. And so if you have a partner, maybe that partner will realize that. But I guess that's okay. If you have a good relationship with your partner, she or he will understand. And so I started like going to somewhere in the astral, some like somewhere higher. I felt like it was taking me higher in the astral. I was being taken for a ride. But then I woke up. I went back to my physical body. And you might be asking, why did that happen? So the reason that happened was because I guess that's what I needed to learn. I needed to learn how to correctly pronounce the mantra. And so then I realized something else about this experiment, and it's that, as I told you earlier, when I did the Pharaoh mantra, I also didn't do it correctly. I was just like, Fa, Ra, On, Fa, Ra, On, like in a very lazy kind of way. And so that also, like I said, it wasn't having an effect. So then I understood something that over the years, I don't know if you've seen some of my previous videos, but I've spoken about how I began to lose the ability to astral project at will, because at some point in my life, I was astral projecting every night. And so I was trying to like figure out why, and maybe it's because I wasn't dedicating that much time. Or perhaps I was just too busy with life that I couldn't astral project like I could before. But now that I had this last experience in the astral world, I realized that perhaps I became a little bit lazy in the way I say the mantras. And so if you want to astral project using mantras or using the Om mantra to go to places inside the astral plane, then you really need to focus on making the mantras resonate, to really pronounce them correctly. So a lot of people have told me that they have problems doing the mantras at night because they have a partner, and the partner doesn't really practice this, and the partner wants to go to bed, go to sleep, and you are doing the mantras, and that partner can't. In those cases, I recommend that you practice during the day. Maybe do have like a daily meditation practice at the evening or in the morning, whatever, and take some 10 minutes to vocalize the mantras correctly. Like really put effort on it, really inspire yourself, like really feel the mantras, because these are powerful words. They have a lot of effects, not just for the astral, but actually they awaken your senses, your transcendental senses. So that's my advice, that perhaps if you're not being able to astral project, is because you're not doing the mantras correctly. But at the same time, remember that mantras are not the only method to astral project. There are so many other techniques that I share in my astral travel course. And also, you don't necessarily have to do the direct transition to the astral world. You can also become lucid in a dream. And that's actually the technique that I'm doing the most nowadays, that I just become lucid in my dreams, practicing the reality checks and whatnot. And my girlfriend also, she normally goes into the astral through lucid dreaming. So remember, there are so many ways to get into the astral plane or even higher planes, but really focus on the power of mantras, the power of the right pronunciation, the right resonance. And so that's all for today. If you want to learn more about astral projection, visit my site, escapefromthematrix.com. Maybe join my newsletter if you want to get some free tips and other interesting reads about spiritual topics. And so that's all for today. This is Arcturus. Thank you for watching.